Yo, what's poppin'? All my peeps, it is I, your host with the most Renaissance man, who always thinks he can, and champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, back in the yard of streams for another edition of the Raw Rewind, part of Pitts and Sara's wrestling show, where we take no nights off. You can't rewind Raw without the best of the West. You can't forget about Sarah Marshall. What's poppin', girl?
Hey, yo.
Sometimes I wonder why I then come in and say hello. Technically, he just did for me.
I think you're overthinking the whole thing.
Okay. Also, I can already tell that I might be having internet issues. So
that's great. That's fantastic.
I'm just letting you know now.
Good to know. I had to spit out my cough drop because it tastes way too much like medicine, and it was disgusting.
Yeah,
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, we had really strong ones, and they were like, "These are the best ones on the market to help your sore throat." I couldn't. I had it in my mouth for like, I don't know, 10 seconds or something. And then I was like, nope, I can't. Like, because they were so mentholy.
Yeah, the menthol, syrupy. Like, it's way too, it's more syrup cough medicine than like fruit or flavor.
Nope, couldn't do it.
Oh, now my stomach feels weird. I don't like, this is a great way to start this show. I don't like it. All right, well, we've been doing some complaining here. Let's get some shout outs to the peeps. We got David, Dickie. Yes, it was Dickie. Yes, it was very enjoyable yesterday. Thank you.
You're very worked up.
I really enjoyed the show last night.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
I thoroughly enjoyed it because it got me more excited for SmackDown and even more excited for next week's Raw and this road to WrestleMania that we're on. Mm-hmm. You know, that we're actually, it's like, I always think back to, you know, how things were ran before, you know, the before Triple H time. We won't say who. And how it was just so stale, predictable, and, you know, over the top to the point where you're just like, all right, what's the next segment? Like, I'm begging you for a commercial break. Now it's just, there's so much going on, and it's back and forth. The commercial breaks are well timed, and everyone's getting a little piece of the pie with the allotted camera time that there is.
I also think it tells you a lot too, because there were times where I didn't even look forward to WrestleMania.
Oh,
that'll tell you like how bad. Just in general, I'm just saying there were times where it's like you weren't excited about that, and it feels like that is something that you should be excited about no matter what, you know.
1,000%.
But yeah, okay. Do you want to just jump in?
You know what? Yeah, let's just jump right in. You can jump right in it. Yeah.
So, Raw started off differently this week. Instead of someone coming to the ring and talking or doing whatever, we got a match to start off. So we had Imperium versus Jey Uso and New Day. And, you know, some of us already knew how this match was going to end.
I mean,
some of us, I mean, me. So I was already mad. I tweeted about it. I said, I already know what's going to happen in this match.
You already know. It's like Christian McCaffrey scoring a touchdown in an NFL game.
Yeah, a regular season.
Automatic.
Game. Yeah. So it was fun. It was a fine match. It was a good match. It was entertaining. Obviously, it was Imperium. Obviously, it had Jey Uso and the New Day. So yeah, it was a good match, and it was fun to watch because there are fun guys in this match. But obviously, the main part that you could take away from this was they were adding more fuel to the fire that has been ravaging between Gunther and Jey Uso. So that was like the basis of everything here, right? And of course Imperium lose, and of course it's Giovanni Vinci. So the only reason why I can say that I was like semi okay with this is because then they later announced that Gunther was going to be defending the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship against Jey Uso next week on Raw. So whoever predicted that he wasn't going to be able to go to Perth, you were right, it appears. So if Jey Uso had to get a win this week on Raw, that means he's losing next week on Raw. So I'm, if my guy Vinci had to take the pin so that they could have their moment in the sun this week, so that we know that Jey loses next week, then I guess I could be okay with it.
But the match itself was very good. I love a good 6-man tag. Shout out to Dickie here, saying very good 6-man tag. Sara, I mean, sorry that Vinci took the pin again, but Belichick told us, do your job. So with that match, like it did a great job extending New Day and Imperium a little bit. It set up Jey for the Gunther match, and I don't know, it gives you more of an idea that Jey could be an Intercontinental Champion one day. That's all this match is doing.
One day. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I no, don't you dare say maybe. One day. It's not.
I said one day maybe, just depending on who is the champion at the time. I'm saying maybe because we don't know what's going to happen with the Usos and the bloodline. Like, what if they reunite the Usos? And so his opportunities to be a solo champion are limited at that point. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that he's not capable. I'm just saying whatever.
Okay.
But my one prediction that I would also like to see is I want to see Jimmy cost Jey the match.
Need it.
That's what I've been saying for a couple weeks now. That I thought was going to happen at Elimination Chamber, but since that they're not having their match at Elimination Chamber, I assume it will happen at Raw. And I feel like it's the only way that makes sense for them to set up Uso versus Uso for Mania, because if that's really their idea, then to me it makes the most sense to do it now. And what better opportunity for Jimmy to do something that's going to upset Jey than by taking his opportunity away to be the next Intercontinental Champion? Why wouldn't you? I mean, Jimmy didn't get a title shot against Roman. Jimmy hasn't gotten a title shot against Gunther or anybody else for a singles title. So why wouldn't he want to stop his twin from becoming the first singles champion of the two? Like,
of course.
Yeah.
That's got
to. And I think it also is the best way for them to kind of remove Jey from the equation with Gunther, because typically if someone costs someone a title match, they get a rematch, and it's possible that could still happen. But like this would kind of like shift his focus to Jimmy completely and kind of like have him forget a little bit about, oh yeah, like my match was blown up because of my brother, and now I don't have a chance to be Intercontinental Champion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that gives them to then try and figure out what to do with Gunther for Mania, which I still have no idea. I have no idea what they should do for him for Mania. Like, I have no idea. I kind of felt that way anyway. Like, there were those rumors about him facing Brock, and it was like, okay, whatever, as long as he beat Brock, then I was on board. But I also felt like they hadn't done anything yet to make us get on board with that. So that was why it was like, okay, maybe it'll happen at the Rumble. That's not happening. So now I'm like, who?
Ladder match. No, ladder match. Okay, ladder match.
Nope. If I have to pick one ladder match, I want a ladder match for the tag titles. If I had to choose one, I'm choosing it for the tag titles.
Fair that we're getting. Okay. But then who's gonna face? Who's your pick?
That's why I was just saying that I don't know. No.
We don't want Gable to finish his story? It seems like WrestleMania 40 is all about stories finishing.
Yeah, but that's just because they're all trying to be the next Cody Rhodes, which is weird. I don't like it.
Coming at your mans.
But I also don't. That's why the whole point of me saying any of this is saying like I don't know what direction they go in. I mean, I guess they could try to revisit the Gable stuff, but it feels like we've already kind of like gone past that. Like we need to give him a third opportunity to beat Gunther. I don't know. But yeah, I'm curious to see how they figure that out because I really feel like, I mean, I feel like he's kind of one of those guys where they don't really worry about there not being like this long drawn out feud. You know, I mean, this whole Jay thing came about in 2 weeks and people are invested, you know, but it's like that's it. There's no like super backstory between him and Jey Uso. But I would like for him to like go into WrestleMania with some sort of like intriguing storyline. And I guess the Gable is the best one. I guess if Ilya Dragunov wasn't NXT champion, I'd be all for that. But he's going to be defending it the night one of Mania. So I don't really believe that'll happen. But
what if we get Trick versus Mello for the NXT title at Stand and Deliver? And then they call up Ilya Dragunov because Gunther is like, who is going? No one can come at me.
Well, that's what I was saying because so that would mean Ilya would have to lose the title to Mello, is what you're saying.
I see that in the works because of what happened last week on NXT.
And then that way, his way of like passing the torch would be dropping the title to Trick. I'm not mad at it, and I feel like that wouldn't be a bad idea because Gunther had said, I'm running out of opponents, and kind of technically he is. And it's like, I understand why. I understand why people were invested in Chad Gable, but we're also talking about something that happened like 3 months ago. And like I said, he already had 2 title matches against Gunther. So it's like people can get reinvested, but then it's also like you're then trying to like bring back an old story.
Doing other
like,
stuff. He's that's too caught up in other stuff. Yeah, I agree with you. So
I'm saying like it would be difficult to try and like interest people in a story that we've already like people were emotionally invested in is all I mean. Yeah. So my pick is Ilya. I feel, and Ilya doesn't even have to win. It just is like that would be a banger match. So, and I would be very excited because it would be like my 2, you know.
I love he does that. I'm trying to see if we have any other comments here. Sarah Marshall from SmackDown Hotel. I don't think Jimmy costing the match is smart. If it's gonna be Uso, they'll be better. They're
not taking the title off Gunther because that doesn't make any sense. Gunther's gonna have to lose to somebody. I think it would have to be like it would have to be a story, like a longer story.
It doesn't need it to, this feud doesn't need a title.
Well, yeah, the Usos know. It's like who's the better man? Like who needs the bloodline? Who's better without? Like I don't think it has anything to do with the title, and sacrificing Gunther's reign just to make sure there's a title involved seems silly to me because it's like
it does.
His title reign is too important for it to just be dropped to an Uso. That I
1,000% agree with you with. 3 Mania options to me: Braun Breaker, Gable, or Sheamus.
I know Sheamus is injured though. But we had Sheamus and Drew McIntyre and Gunther last year.
We did. I mean, but still, wouldn't that be great? We had Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns last year.
That's different. If I had to choose between the 3, then I would say Sheamus, I guess. Because I think people would be excited. And then I guess if they're going to take the title off Gunther, then might as well give it to the guy who's never won it.
You don't want to see Braun?
No.
Why not?
I don't have to be a fan of the people you're a fan of.
Yeah, I'm just asking.
I'm not interested.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love Braun Breaker. Because
you remind me of like Sal from like Impractical Jokers, who's like he always liked the like weird, like there's just like a niche of people who like certain people. Like you probably would have if you had the money or whatever, would have bought like the Heath Slater I've got kids like shirt. Like you do that.
1,000%.
That's what I'm
Yes.
saying. You're like
Yes.
Sal that like buys like the most random. That's what I'm saying. So like
That's
when you say
hilarious.
you like Braun Breaker, I'm like,
That's
yeah, you
all
would.
right.
There's a certain type of person that would like these
That
people, and
likes that I like.
you
Okay.
fit the mold of the
I
person
do
I
fit the
believe would
mold.
like these people. That's what I'm saying. It's not
All right.
surprising.
It is not surprising. I don't care.
No.
I don't take that. I take that as a compliment because I would have absolutely bought an I have kids shirt. What's this?
Ooh,
Gable versus Gunther, title versus career. Okay.
no,
That's a
no,
no. Too early.
no.
Way too early, Dickie.
Also,
Uh
Jay does just said that he doesn't like Gunther, so that's why he doesn't care if he loses the title, and he says Gunther's not important.
yeah, he just wants the title.
Jay, I'm just not gonna say anything.
Yeet.
I'm just gonna withhold it. No, how dare you?
Yeet.
Ring General.
What's up, Vinny? How we doing? Good to see you here. Yeah, there you go. We do have to get some Gunther love. It's not been a lot from the peeps and the Gunther love, but Vinny's saying that Gunther is doing. No, the peeps, not you.
I know. I'm
The
saying I
peeps
give enough for all of us.
Oh, okay.
All right. Will you get rid of the comments, please?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So this might not have been that big of a moment in the big scheme of things, but I thought I liked it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. So Andrade, who has been MIA basically since the Royal Rumble and then being like, I'm signing to Raw. We got his first vignette and I really liked it. I'm really liking these video packages that they're putting together now. Like whoever has decided to make this change, I am all for it. I mean, obviously WWE has been historically really good at making video packages. Like it's not surprising. But this one I thought was kind of cool because he was reminding you of like who he was and how he got here. So he was talking about what like all that he did that led to him signing with WWE in the first place. He talks about how he won the NXT championship, won the US title once he got brought up to the main roster, but it didn't work out and he kind of forgot who he was and why he started wrestling. So that's why he said he needed to leave. And of course, I don't think he really talks about where else he went, but we know he went to AEW, which also was not a great place for him because Tony Khan. So he says he's back now and his direction is clear. So I'm hyped. I'm excited. I would prefer if like we were seeing a little bit more with the luchadors because you know there was like that month or two where we were seeing it like every single week on SmackDown and it was like this is fantastic and then they've kind of like laid off of that. So it would be great if Andrade can fill that role on Raw because you know most of like the LWO and all of that they've been on SmackDown or they're in NXT. So I think it would be cool. I'm excited to see what he does and I hope that they like do the right thing by him because it's like there was a reason why he was so big in NXT to the point of you putting the title on him. And Vince just didn't know what to do with him once he got to the main roster. So I'm hoping that since there is that crossover of the black and gold era Andrade with now Triple H, that it'll be better.
I see this only being a vignette that just reminds you or it shows that he's going to be in the heavyweight title picture after Mania. Like he's someone that's not, or he will be Gunther's next opponent. Like he's going to be in a title picture to some capacity. That's where because he should be a guy who's fighting for the title at this point. Like everyone knows who he is. He has the accolades outside of WWE world to just be like, all right, you deserve a title match at least at some point or in some way, shape, or form. And like, what else are you gonna have him do that isn't for a title right now?
Well, and then I saw Richard said it, but I've also seen it on Twitter. Well, some of it where people were saying that they feel bad for like Naomi and Andrade and I forget who else they were saying, but they felt like they screwed themselves returning when they did because it's Mania season, so there's not really going to be plans for them because obviously Mania plans are made far in advance, and then things change naturally. But do you think that that is something that, like, to me, I feel like I don't know how to. I'll just say what I think because I don't know how to word my question.
Mhm.
I didn't agree about it being like they screwed themselves. I feel like if you get the opportunity to go to WWE, especially, and they're like, we're going to do this and this and this with you, but it might take a little bit longer because of when you're returning. I don't
Mhm.
really see that being like, oh man, I shouldn't have returned now. It's like, because then I think about like Chelsea Green, who was sitting on the shelf for months before they decided that, okay, we're going to have her on
Yeah,
on this show. Like, I feel like I get timing is everything, but I also feel like timing is everything. Like, we could have
exactly.
some really cool moments with these guys after Mania instead of them trying to rush them into a storyline and put them into a match or like something, like I would rather them not be on the Mania card than be thrown into like a battle royal. Just so it's like, well, they were there.
That I agree with 1,000% because then if you put them in a battle royal, it kinda diminishes them when they go after, the Intercontinental, the World Heavyweight title, whatever title that may be, because you were just fighting in a battle royal. What makes you think you're so special? If you think you're so special, you would have won that battle royal. You got to think
Mhm.
like that in how things make sense. And for Andrade to just have that vignette right now, all you're doing is just being like, "Oh, Andrade's back. Who's he gonna?" Like you're getting excited for Andrade, not because you want to see him immediately right now, but that when you eventually see him, it's gonna be in some feud or storyline that gets you excited to watch.
Because I think people forget about the aspect of these people needing to be like reintroduced to the audience. Like, it doesn't
Yes,
matter that Naomi was in WWE for 10 plus years. It doesn't matter that Andrade was. Like, you can even use Cody Rhodes as an example. When he first
I think Cody
returned to
Rhodes is a good
WWE,
example. I think it is a great
they
example.
they knew that his main objective in returning to WWE was to go after the WWE championship. They
Mhm.
didn't give him a single opportunity to do so before he got, tore his pec.
Pack.
So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, because you have to reintroduce these people to remind people who they are, but then also it's like they're gonna come in and they're not gonna be the same people that they were when we last saw them. So
No.
to me, it's like, yeah, Naomi being back is great and I'm excited, but why should she be getting a Mania match over the girls who have been here the last 2 years trying to get on the card?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's no disrespect to her. It's nothing. I don't mean any disrespect
No.
to,
No,
like,
yeah,
Andrade or anything.
absolutely.
But I feel like, you came in at the right time because the Royal Rumble is a time where a lot of people come back and do returns or
Yes.
whatever debuts. So I don't think that it's something they should regret. I think that they knew also, like, if I'm coming
Oh,
back in the
yeah.
Royal Rumble, it's Mania season. Like, I might not have a match this year. So I feel like it's a risk you're
But
willing to
they
take because it's where you want to be. It's just not the right time to get a match at Mania or something.
it's kinda like bonus land when you're developing your own path in WWE
Mhm.
because yeah, you sign and you should have your path already paved when before you sign or as you sign your contract to get you there. And it's like, okay, this is why you're back. Da, da, da. Well, the Royal Rumble, you just have to be back for a cheap pop. But if we sign you because, okay, we see you as a major fixture in our
Mm.
future plans, then this time before WrestleMania, it can just be hyping them up. Maybe at WrestleMania, you're there.
Mhm.
Keyword what I just said, you're there. You're
Mhm.
not in a match, you're not in a battle royal, but you're there because you're scouting. That makes more sense logistically to build up somebody for a potential title feud than just having them in a match to have iron sharpen iron type of thing.
Well, I have 2 examples. One, look at what happened with LA Knight. LA Knight wasn't on the media card last year.
No.
Was kind of slowly getting to a peak at that point, right? Because
Well,
we weren't that far removed from Rumble when he had that
yeah.
i- match with Bray. But he wasn't the megastar yet, And then look
No.
what happened after Mania. Look at now. He could potentially have one of the best matches of Mania weekend a year later. Or if you want to talk about recently, they're not on the same level, and I'm not saying that they are, but we all were complaining about The Rock coming in, inserting himself into storylines that he shouldn't be, and deciding that he wants this Mania match, and everyone was upset because he didn't earn it, and blah blah blah. Obviously, Andrade, Naomi, and these other names are not on the same level, but wouldn't we have somewhat of the same complaint if they then like took a spot in a match over somebody who like, I don't know,
Oh yeah.
maybe, maybe I'm not saying this is legit, but like, what if Naomi replaced Becky in a match? Would
I
people be
was
like,
legitimately thinking the same exact thing. Like,
yeah,
that I would be upset with because, like, no, we want you here, great, but, like, you're not that makes no sense. Like, we've been wanting to
that
see this, we've been building it up. Yes.
right.
Like,
So that's what I'm saying. It's like it seems like it would elicit the same reaction, and it's like you love them both, but it's not the right time to be doing this. So
timing is everything.
yes,
Everything.
exactly. Okay, so I want to quickly go over the Elimination Chamber qualifiers because we saw 3 of them.
We did see them.
We saw Bobby
Oh,
Lashley versus Bronson Bronson Reed. Um,
Bronson Reed.
and I have to tell you, my nephew was so excited about this because he never gets to see Bobby anymore because he's on SmackDown.
True.
And when he's like getting ready for bed when SmackDown is on, so he like never gets to see Bobby. So oh my god, the smile on his face, he was so
That's
excited to
awesome.
see him. It was so cute. And he likes Bronson too, but he was like, but I like Bobby more. And I was
Big
like,
Bronson
I
Reed.
know. Yes, he likes the big guys. He likes Ivar too.
I
So
mean,
he
Ivar.
loves the Viking Raiders.
Oh,
So
I'll wait for my comment for when we
yeah.
talk about Ivar.
Yeah. So this match I felt like wasn't as obvious of who the winner was going to
No.
be. Just based off of what they've been doing with Bobby, which is kind of nothing recently. And obviously Bronson Reed was in the match last year, the Elimination Chamber match last year. Granted, it was for the US title, but he was in that match. So I was pleasantly surprised that it was Bobby. And they're really stacking this Elimination Chamber match with
They are.
names.
They really are. They're stacking. I mean, both chamber matches with just
Yes.
names.
Yes. So then we later see, we see Bobby win. So he is added to the match with Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre. Is it just the 3 of them? Who's the other one?
You haven't got to him yet.
Oh, okay. And then we got, okay. I was like,
There it is.
so then we also
There.
see LA
Right.
Knight versus Ivar. Big pop for the megastar on Raw because a lot of
Big
people
pop.
have been concerned, but no, it's great. This match was great too. I'd love to see LA Knight versus Ivar because I felt like he was doing things that we have not seen done to Ivar.
No.
This
No,
man
he
was
wasn't.
lifting him up. This
Uh,
man,
weird shift. The slam that goes into the slam.
yes,
He lifted him with ease. Like
yeah,
with ease.
yeah. I was impressed. Um, it was a very physical match. We saw Valhalla get involved too. LA Knight won.
Antlerless
Yes,
Valhalla.
yes.
I'm on Michael Cole's side here.
Oh my god, I know. People
I
were like, "Why is he so obsessed with antlers?" I was like,
No,
"I
because
honestly don't
it's
know."
an aura that she brings off, or
I mean, I
is that
guess
the
it like
word? Brings
sells the
off.
character more, but
And antlers are like give
I
her
don't
that
know.
creepy look. I don't know. I'm with Michael Cole. We need to see more antlers.
Okay. So that makes the match so far LA Knight, Bobby Lashley, Randy Orton, and Drew McIntyre, which
Did you
it's
hear?
an interesting it's an interesting jump from where they were last year. Obviously, it's a different title. Like I said, it was for the US title last year, but they had more outside of like Rollins, basically. It was like more names that like needed to be legitimized kind of to like the audience, in this match
Mhm.
this year. It's like, no, we're gonna give you all the stars. We're gonna give you the top people on both
Everybody.
shows. So I thought that was cool, and I can't remember. We have more matches. I don't remember. It's Dominic, The Miz. Also Miz and Logan Paul on
Paul.
SmackDown. And then who's Dominic facing?
Oh, why am I forgetting?
I don't remember.
Kevin Owens?
Oh, right. Yes. So we'll have those. I mean, I honestly could see it going in any of those directions. I feel
Kevin
like
Owens, Dom, I have that could be anyone.
I think Logan Paul and Miz could be either of them too, because Logan being in it, it's like, okay, you want more eyes on the show, but then also Miz has been being used recently too. So like I wouldn't be surprised. And given who else is in the match, like Miz fits right in there with like the top names, you know what I mean? So
And if you want to stack the card for names because you're in Australia, no, it's a good business, man. Yeah.
but I did want to make one point about LA Knight. So I don't know if you saw the like little promo that he had with Kathy Kelly. I think it was just like an
Oh,
exclusive
on Raw Talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was saying the gist of what he was saying was that he's been receiving a lot of congratulations lately, but that he doesn't really feel like it's necessary because he hasn't really accomplished anything. He then talks about how he's going to win the Elimination Chamber, that he's going to then go and face Seth Rollins at Mania, and he's going to walk out as champion. But to me, this felt like a subtle way for them to possibly set up him versus Logan. And I say that because he was like talking about how he hasn't accomplished anything and like he doesn't have a title. Like there's nothing that he can like show for this past year of his career. Like he doesn't, because he even mentioned, oh yeah, I won the Slim Jim Battle Royal, but like, okay. So to me, it's like, okay, so you assume that he's not going to win the Elimination Chamber. He will not be facing Seth Rollins at Mania. So then what's the next best scenario for him to feel like he's being rewarded for what he's done? And to me, it's getting a title match with Logan Paul. That is what I took away from it. And I might be completely just like looking into it too much, but him versus AJ Styles at Mania would be great, as I've said, but that's not really walking away with anything. You know what I mean?
He wants, and Logan Paul doesn't need to win at WrestleMania.
No, he's
He does
already
not
won.
need. He
He's
needs to be there. I
Yeah.
agree. You got to have him on the card, but he doesn't need to win. And why not have him lose to the future megastar of the United States Championship, who can actually elevate it back into actually meaning something? I mean, I remember I said, I think a week ago, you put that a US title on LA Knight, and his first feud out of it is AJ Styles versus LA Knight for the US title. Yeah, it feels a little bit more prestigious than when Austin Theory had it. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm getting more on board with it just because, like I said last week, I think LA Knight has been very swiftly removed from the Roman Reigns title situation.
As he
So
should be. Yeah.
I like that he's going to be in the Elimination Chamber for the World Heavyweight title because at least it's continuing him on the trajectory of being a main event, title guy. So I like that. But given the current storyline, it doesn't make sense for LA Knight to face Seth Rollins. So if Logan is in the match, which we have predicted he will be, then it feels like, okay, that's a way for them to kind of like set that up too, like in the match, whether Logan eliminates him and that kicks it off, or maybe LA Knight eliminates Logan and that pisses Logan off, something like that. Especially because they also were teasing that they were going to announce Logan's next opponent and they never did. So if this then, makes it so that he doesn't have a Mania opponent again because he lost, then it feels like, yeah, okay, it's inevitable. It's going to be LA Knight. But then it just makes you wonder what's going to happen with AJ. But, details, I don't have to figure those out right now. I'm not
figure those out right
now. And then we saw a women's qualifying match between Liv Morgan and Zoe Stark. I felt like this was a really good match for both of them.
This is a very good match.
I thought it was a solid opponent. Zoe was a solid opponent for Liv's first real match, like singles match since returning. And this was a good showing for Zoe because she's kind of like fell down the totem pole since the Trish story ended. They've kind of like tried to push her, then didn't. And now she's then even throughout the rest of the show, you see her with Shayna again. So Liv wins, which we predicted because she's on this revenge tour and her eyes are set on Rhea. So that's great. Then we will have 2 more qualifying matches on SmackDown, which will be Tiffany versus Shotzi and Naomi versus Zelina Vega. And then they announced that next week they will be having a battle royal to determine the last woman to be in the Elimination Chamber match. And guys, I gotta tell you, it's gonna be Jade Cargill. So it's gonna be Jade. That's my only prediction. It's gonna be Jade.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I don't even have any energy to be a devil's advocate or say something funny because I agree. I don't see why not. And I think wouldn't this be the final 6
What do you
from
mean?
the Women's Rumble?
Oh, it might be. Yeah, yeah.
So they
Because then it was
actually did the final
Tiffany.
6.
Tiffany will win. Naomi will win, and then Jade, and then joins Becky, Liv. Who else?
I mean,
Yeah.
the writing's on the wall. We got to start opening our eyes more if that's the case.
I love it. I think it is exciting. Yeah, honey. Jade's winning. 100%. Jade's winning 100%.
Go off.
She's going to win because, again, if they're trying to stack the card, like the women's card for the Elimination Chamber equal to the men's Elimination Chamber, Jade is kind of the last one that will be available that's like on that tier of being like, okay, plus it's like
she's got that star power.
She had a great debut.
Yep.
This is a way to get her seen by a lot of people. And if people are so concerned, because that's another thing about how she's going to perform because she's relatively new, which I say, guys, Tiffany Stratton's been wrestling for 2 years too, and no one's saying anything about that, but you're all concerned about Jade, who's been literally training at the Performance Center for how many months now? Her in an Elimination Chamber kind of takes the heat off of her. It takes that pressure off of her from having to have like this like perfectly put together wrestling match because there's so many different things going on. She could be in there with the 5 other girls at the same time.
Yeah,
plus it's in the chamber. So like you don't have to do as much as when everyone has a clear view and it's just you and one other person. So to me it makes the most sense. And who doesn't want the tease of Jade versus Rhea?
Yeah, like this is just a scaled down Royal Rumble. Again, when you think of match types and how to debut and show off Jade before you actually get her inside the ring for a one-on-one match, you're teasing all these matchups. All these potential feuds. We had Bianca in the Rumble. You can get Rhea. You can get I'm trying to think of someone, Becky versus Jade in the chamber.
Bianca will be in there too.
Bianca will be in there again, so there's so many different avenues that you can tease. Why not? Maybe Jade cost Bianca.
Well, that's why I said we don't know, because then Naomi will be in there too, and people want to see that. I think that other than trying to just like stack the women's match, and Jade makes sense in that regard, it's hard for me to believe that they're not going to try and put Jade in a Mania match. Even if it is a tag match, because there's been people saying, what if they have her and Bianca tag team? Which I could see that. That would be fine.
That would be so awesome. That build would be incredible.
Yeah, so I think that they're going to try and put her on the card. They want her at Mania. Lisa. Hello, Lisa. She says, Dave Meltzer said today that plans change for Jade Cargill. I don't really take Dave Meltzer seriously, if I'm being honest.
At all.
He's such a flipper. He's a flip-flopper.
I don't take any stock into what Dave Meltzer says.
I listen to what everybody says, the dirt sheet writers, but it's just when you see some of these people like Dave that try to be on both sides of the fence of the same story, that's when I start to feel like you're not a credited person just because you're talking out of both sides of your mouth, so at least you can be said that you were right. You know what I mean? But yeah, I definitely listen to what he has to say. But I would say the highlight of the show was the Cody Rhodes segment. Okay. And
he put my dude Pat McAfee on the spot.
I loved that. I loved how much Cole was here for it too.
Oh yeah.
So Cody Rhodes comes out in his dapper suit and his freshly bleached hair also. Every time I notice it, I say it out loud. Like every time he shows up on screen and I notice that he just bleached his hair, I'm like, freshly bleached and toned. Because he also tones it, which I'm like, I would like to believe that's Brandy's input because I absolutely hate it when men and women bleach their hair and they don't tone it, so it's not like highlighter yellow. So I am here for the
I think she
soft.
definitely says something and has some input with the hair. I think she has some input.
I was trying to give her credit. So, Cody comes out and he first thanks the fans for being super supportive over the last week because he said, your voices were heard. It was an entire week of trending on Twitter, which was, of course, the "We Want Cody" whatever. He says he doesn't really know how to repay everyone because, again, guys, this wasn't the real story. Okay, so he really is crediting people, in my opinion, because I got to keep saying that because I keep getting attacked for people saying that this was the original plan. No, it wasn't. We voiced our opinions and they listened to us. Hence why Cody gets emotional when he's talking about this, because if it weren't for us, he would be sitting in the back seat looking at The Rock taking on Roman Reigns. But anyway,
go off.
He says he doesn't know how to repay everyone, but he believes that winning the title at WrestleMania might do the trick. And I was like, yes, Cody, it would. It really would. He says, he goes on, this is another thing that they've been doing a lot lately, that wrestlers are talking about how passionate they are about the wrestling business and their part in it. And he says he almost is getting emotional talking about it, but he doesn't want to be a crybaby. And that was when Rocky Sucks chants break out. And we also see the video clip of The Rock on Pat McAfee's show last week where he talks about the
Cody Crybabies.
Cody Crybabies, and the Cody fans and Cody, blah, blah. And he really focuses in on the chicken nuggets part where he says, The Rock says they type, and they're crying online and then eat a chicken nugget. And then they do some more crying and they shove them up their booty.
Shove them up their ass.
I'm trying to make sure we still get ads, but okay.
Oh.
That's why I said booty.
I just quote that's verbatim. I'm just trying to be down with my guy.
So he then is asking everybody, what are we expected to do with the chicken nuggets? And he directly looks at Pat McAfee and asks, and Pat is just like, he says you just need to shove it up here. And it was such a ridiculous moment.
It was odd. That was I was dying at that segment. That was incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he does talk about how The Rock, put his hands on him and he is ready to hit back. So I was like, yes, we do. We stand this moment. And then Seth Rollins comes out, and this was a pretty cool moment too, because we know the history between them. They made it very clear during their 3 matches, their trilogy, that Cody won single-handedly. So he first comes out, and I loved this too. Cody thanks him for having his back last week, and Rollins says he doesn't know what else to say except for "you're welcome." And I was like,
"That was good. That was good."
You get it. You get it, right? You don't get it?
No.
You've not seen Moana?
Oh! That's hilarious. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. What can I say except you're welcome?
Yeah, if you guys did not know, he said "you're welcome" like that is because, The Rock's song in Moana, his most famous one, is called "You're Welcome." So that's why he said it. So Rollins goes on to say that he was bummed about Cody's decision to not face him at WrestleMania, but that he completely understands it because obviously he has to finish the story. But then he says, you have to finish the story. Like, everybody is counting on you. Millions of people are counting on you. You need to do it for yourself. You need to do it for me. You need to do it for them. You need to do it for your dad. You need to do it for the company, because if you don't beat Roman, who else is going to stop him? There's nobody here that will be able to stop him, and it'll be a very, very dark time in WWE if Roman is able to walk out of WrestleMania as the champion. So Rollins takes responsibility for his part in how Roman has become this monster that he has become, saying how he taught him everything that he knew during their time as the Shield. I love the Shield. And he says because of that, I don't think that you can do this alone. So you trying to take on Roman is one thing, but now you're going to be going against Roman and The Rock. That's basically impossible. So he says he will be in his corner if he wants his help. He could be his shield. He said,
That was
because
the
I
best
was
line.
once an architect, I am now a visionary, a revolutionary. I am Seth
Freaking Rollins.
Yes. So I loved everything about this moment. I loved everything about it because I like that we're getting this back and forth with Cody too, that like Cody's defending himself against The Rock, so we're not just being like, oh, The Rock just did this or whatever, and Cody's just like, okay, because it's The Rock, so it's like you're just gonna act like, oh, it's fine, it's The Rock. I mean, the whole basis of this thing is kind of ridiculous anyway, because they took shots at the Rhodes and Dusty specifically, and then because Cody said something that was pretty harmless back, it's like, oh, how dare you, I'm gonna slap you. It's like, what?
It's great villain work. It's great villain work by them. This is building up to be, and I'm gonna connect the Humble Wrestling tweet that we saw on how I think the tweet was that this is going to end very Attitude Era-esque, with the stars and whatnot. And at this point, I love the direction they're going with it to lead us to that point, because it feels like it's not just Cody versus Roman anymore. It feels like it is the company versus the bloodline, and the bloodline has spread through to the corporate offices of TKO, and they're that's what this feels like, that we're in a legit civil war between WWE and TKO, and it just so happens that TKO's golden boy is the WWE Undisputed Champion, where WWE wants Cody to be their guy. And I just see a lot of connections to, the superhero movies, whatever, with that. But if you want to bring it back down, like the end of WrestleMania could be the most absurd ending to a title match since Mick Foley beat The Rock. Like I legitimately have that feeling that Cody beating Roman is going to give off that same feel. No, why are you shaking our head?
No, I'm just like, I'm
Oh,
just like the thought of it is just crazy.
It's like, yeah, like everyone is there, like everyone in the back is there. Like when DX and the corporation were there, DX had no affiliation, mankind. They shaped the corporation. So then you have them right there helping Cody win. And then you have it's going to be a monumental moment. And the fact that that seed was planted last night with Seth being like, well, you need a shield. And then you're going to have Sammy. Maybe Sammy's moment isn't to be in the world heavyweight title match. Maybe it is and he loses, but point is maybe Sammy has an involvement because he's like, I was in the bloodline. You need my help.
Maybe he's the reason why Cody is able to win. Maybe like whatever he does is what leads to Cody winning. So then it's like, oh, he looks like the hero. You know what I mean? And then Cody rewards him by giving him a title shot. I don't know.
We're on to something, Sarah.
Yeah, so I think this is a good way to take it, and I have heard people talking about how they might be setting up a tag match also of like Rollins and Cody versus Rock and Roman. And if that's the case, I assume people are talking about that, meaning that it would happen at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah,
the only reason that. Well, because I'm like, you're not going to have it on Mania Night 1. You're not going to do that. No. But I would be all for that, just because if The Rock is like dead set on being in a match, I would much rather see him in a tag match than him versus Roman. So I don't know if that's what's going to happen, because they were saying that Roman was not advertised to be at Elimination Chamber. So I don't know. But I do like that we're like seeing these rivals like become friends, and it's like, you said, because they have the common enemy, and the common enemy is Roman Reigns and the bloodline. So yeah, I think they did a really good job with this. And this is why it's so great that they pivoted, because this story is so much better then
So
having
much
to deal
better.
with Cody versus Seth for the 4th time, and then just seeing The Rock being like, I'm the real tribal chief, and then Roman saying, I'm the real tribal chief. Like, that's boring.
No,
So
it's
boring.
agreed. Dick, you're so right. We got 39 was
Mm,
Infinity War. 40's
mm.
Endgame, baby.
And Cody wins.
40 is so Endgame. Well, yeah, I am the American Nightmare. There
I know.
you
I'm
go.
just like, I just am trying to prepare myself for it to not be what happens because I'm just nervous.
You got
So,
you got to manifest the positive thoughts by having the
mm.
positive thoughts internally. You got
Did you want to get
to,
to any
girl.
comments?
We got to a couple. We have a couple.
Okay.
We used to give that one. They better make Mania 40 epic because it's all on the line. Agreed. It's gonna be. It's. I legitimately think it's going to be just cinema. Like we should be witnessing
Well,
cinema.
and I feel like it's not even just that, but it's like, then also, if it really was a TKO thing that kind of pushed for The Rock to be involved, if they then decided, okay, look at this backlash, we need to change it, WWE needs to prove it was the right decision. Because otherwise, if they fall flat, TKO is probably going to be pissed and be like, see, if we had gone with what we wanted, this would have been better. Or maybe they're going to try and like meddle in future stuff because it's like, well, look at, we would have been, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot on the line. Plus, again, it's a new decade of Mania. Um, it has to be huge. It has to be.
Ooh, I like this comment. Seth said it might be the last chance for of a real championship of the people. Like TKO will make it corporate after this gen. Yeah. They're gonna make it the Hulk Hogan. Like it is the Hulk Hogan,
Because
title.
Because the thing is
That's
if
true.
Roman doesn't lose at Mania this year, he's not losing again until Mania 41. Like it's
Yeah.
not happening because it's like nothing else lives up to WrestleMania. So if he were to lose a title after holding it for 4.5 years, nearly, over 4 years at Survivor Series, really? Like
That sucks.
if he still had the 2 titles, sure, drop the Universal at a random show because it's like the whole thing was drop the WWE title, sorry, at a random one because he was a Universal champion first.
Yeah.
But it's like it's undisputed now. He has
Yeah,
to lose
no,
it at
it's
Mania. Nothing else would live up to it. Not at this point. Like if he's going to
no.
be holding it for over 4 years, it has to be Mania.
It does. That's it. Like
Yeah.
I can't echo that anymore because
Yeah.
it needs to happen this year. Yeah, people are really gonna sacrifice sleep for 5 a.m. to watch Elimination Chamber.
I'm not waking up at 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. I'm not doing it. I'll just wake up and then I'll watch it. I just won't look at anything. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
will not
just
look at
go out,
spoilers.
get your coffee, get your beef fast.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
also have to work on Sunday. So,
true.
I will just, I'll put it on and watch it and I just will not check anything and I'll just have to make sure to let everybody know, do not spoil anything for me.
Don't do it.
So, and I mean, for the most part, we already think we know what's going to happen in Elimination Chamber, which isn't bad because it's like we just want to get to Mania, So it's like
Yeah, like
whatever makes the most sense for Mania is what we think is going to happen in Elimination Chamber. So if we predict that correctly, then it's like there's not really going to be any shocking moments, and I'm gonna be like, dang it, I wish that I was awake for that. Like
yeah, that's
it's
true.
not like
That's very
sleeping through
true.
WrestleMania,
No,
like
that's different.
that would be worse. Okay, so then we move on to the Judgment Day and R-Truth. They look like they are done so now, guys. So it feels more official this week,
I
even though last week we
know.
were just talking about how Damian Priest told Truth to get comfortable. A week later, he's over it. So Judgment Day are walking to the ring and getting ready for JD to take on Truth. When Truth joins them and then reminds them again that JD isn't even a part of Judgment Day because technically he's not.
He's on the
Um,
t-shirt.
yeah. And none of them want anything to do with him. They don't want him there. So before JD just completely goes off on him, Damian Priest decides that it's going to be him. And he said, you know what? We didn't initiate you again last week. That was a beatdown. And if you don't stop coming around and doing all of these shenanigans, then there's going to be an execution. So they get out to the ring, and then we see R-Truth in the back frantically trying to call the Miz to come help him.
So good.
And
So good.
so we see Truth versus JD McDonough, and JD baby finally gets a win, which was great, but there were some good moments. Truth had his moments in the match as well. And then after the match, they all proceed to beat up Truth, who is then saved by DIY. And when he goes in the back to thank them, he confuses them with DX. So, and then I don't know if you saw Johnny Gargano post a
Oh, I
Photoshop.
want that shirt immediately. I
I
don't
don't
know
think it's
why
real.
that's not on the.
Yeah, I don't think it's real. What?
No, it's still like I got some weird feedback that went through my headphones.
Oh.
I don't care that it's not on the WWE shop. I need that T-shirt. I cannot be the only one who would pay $25.95 to wear that T-shirt.
You know what? I wonder if they're setting this up for Mania or Elimination Chamber to be a 4-on-4. DIY, Truth, and Miz versus Judgment Day.
That was announced next week.
Is that for next week? Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I know that they're facing the British Strong Style at Elimination Chamber, but I'm just curious. I'm like, I wonder how they're gonna try and do that for Mania, because they're gonna have to do something. But I guess if Judgment Day are still champions, which I assume they will be, we want a ladder match.
Ladder match with all those teams, and Truth and the Miz win.
No, I also said I would like it for them to split the titles. Remember, to have them on 2 ladders.
Well, that would be nice.
That would be cool.
Two different belts hanging down.
Ooh. I would love that. Then we see Becky Lynch. Unfortunately, she had to deal with
this. Was weird.
I'm still trying to make sense of it, and I still don't. So,
like, yeah, you explain, introduce what happened.
Okay, so Becky comes out, and again, it kind of just felt like a pointless moment. It's just like, I don't know. It's fine. I love Becky, but it just was like, I don't really understand what's happening. But she just comes out. Well, I didn't say I didn't like it. I'm just saying it just felt like, I don't know, out of place. Like we didn't need this moment. But anyway, she says that wrestling means so much to her, and it's basically been her entire life since she first stepped into a ring at 15 years old. She says that she has sacrificed a lot for the business, which she said, she's missed birthdays, and she's even missed her dad's funeral, which I was like, oh.
Yeah, that hit. I was like, oh God.
I know.
That was so sad.
She says that she has not been champion in almost 2 years, so she's definitely coming for Rhea, and she will do that by winning the Elimination Chamber. But then Nia Jax decides to interrupt, and this whole interaction was just so awkward, and I don't really understand the point. Because Nia just comes in and she's like pretending to cry, but it's like she's not pretending. It's like we're supposed to believe she is crying, and she just wants to talk about how great Becky is and that she's such a great mom and she hopes to be a mom one day too. And then she just quickly slips into like, but well, I'm going to win Elimination Chamber and no one's going to stop me, and then I'm going to go against Rhea at WrestleMania and no one's going to.
Weird.
And it was just like, what are we? It was so weird.
I did not like I feel like that would you like, that's how my brain is trying to process what that promo was with her last night, because she was trying to be, I don't want to, like, was it a condescending type of acting job you were doing? Like, were you trying to be intimidating and big bad bully, or were you trying to be sincere and stand with her and then say no? It's like, it was so, I didn't like it until mommy came out and saved the day.
Yeah, so we do see Rhea come out and they just all brawl. Rhea gets the upper hand this time, because of course we know she will be facing Nia Jax at Elimination Chamber. But yeah, I was very confused about this because up until this point, Becky and Nia have hated each other, and so this didn't feel like a necessary thing for Nia to come out and say. Like, I just didn't understand how it correlated to their story or like trying to take down Rhea. It just felt very weird. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Richard says he thinks that she was mocking her. I mean, I guess, but it was just very weird. It was
It
like
was
she didn't
very
do a good
weird.
job about making it obvious that, in my
No,
eyes, that
terrible
it was
job.
like, yeah, it was just weird. Um, but and it made me immediately think about how I had just been giving her credit for like being better at promos,
I
and
would
then I was
say
like,
if she just wanted, yeah. If I would say if she just wanted to go out there and be hated and just to get just heat and didn't care how she did it, then mission accomplished. You did it. Because I just
yeah.
don't like you more now, and I don't know why.
Yeah. She just has that natural hateability about her, which is something I hope I never have. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested in Rhea versus Nia. I was interested in it before this happened. I guess this just adds more to why I need Rhea to win. But otherwise, I'm like, okay, it is what
Yeah.
it is. Um, and then we move on to the main event. Sami Zayn versus
One more
Shinsuke
match.
Nakamura. And they are just definitely continuing with this underdog storyline
I
here
love it.
with Sammy. We saw
I
him
love it.
talking about that in an interview again earlier in the show. And then he is against Shinsuke, who is in this new like evil era, which we stan. This was a great match. Obviously got a lot of time too, like 25 minutes, which I thought was good because Sammy loses, obviously, to add to this whole debacle that he's in. But at least it feels like more believable at that point, you know, when it's like a longer match. It wasn't just like a quick like 3-minute
No,
match and then
yeah.
you're like, oh. Someone I think said that this was now 12 matches in a row that Sammy has lost. So it's like they're
It
really
is.
going with this now. Um, and obviously, we see Drew McIntyre come out. He gets involved. Cody Rhodes comes out to save the day. It was just chaos. It was chaos. Makes you
Very
wonder,
attitude era.
is this well? And then it's like, is this going to be something for Elimination Chamber? Like, what are we do? Like, what is this? What is it? Just establishing sides that are going to branch off?
That's
You
to
know,
me, yeah. I feel like that's what they're trying to do now, is they're not really doing these types of saves and run-ins to set up a potential match, but just to set the tone of who sides with who
mm-hmm.
backstage, who can, you know, be there to have their back if a, situation like that arises. Big brain here, really think that this is all just a big plan for the main event. Like, you're establishing who's on what side so that like they come out and it makes more sense, and they're trying to connect all those dots that you have like the best possible outcome for the main event of Mania.
Well, and the thing that I love about that idea too is like Drew could even be on Team Cody. So it's like that type of thing is like a fascinating aspect to it. It's not just going to be all like the good guys that everybody loves. It's like, no, everybody's going to be against Roman. Um
Yeah,
so I'm interested in the Sammy stuff. I kind of like that they're doing this. Again, this feels like this might have been the story that they were going to try to kind of go with Cody originally, because of, you know, The Rock taking his spot, and it's like, oh, like he can't finish the story. But I feel like Sammy just fits this vibe.
so much.
So I am very curious to see how this all pans out, and like if Sammy gets a match, if he doesn't, like I don't know. I feel like it's going to be another one of those moments that people are going to be really excited about to see what ends up happening, you know?
I'm very excited to see what happens. I am very intrigued
So that
what's
was
going
Raw.
on. I'm
Um
so excited. I'm so excited for this new era. Like, it's just it's not even watchable. That's I'm not even going to use the words. That just makes it seem it is entertaining. It's captivating. It
so it's like
actually
it's can't miss is probably what you want to say.
it's can't miss every week. Even
Mm-hmm.
the bad stuff, you're like, all right, that sucked, but all right, what do we got now? Like, you don't even think of it, and you don't get so down on the bad stuff because you
Yeah.
know something great or something you've been looking forward to is gonna come, right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited for
I
this.
hope that it fulfills everything that I want for Mania. I really want to be able to leave the Mania trip like happy with how Mania was. Like I don't want it to be the same feeling of last year. Like now in hindsight, I can appreciate why the decision was made for Cody to lose and whatever, but I just don't want to leave Mania Night 2 feeling that way again. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to head into the Raw after Mania being like, okay, what kind of BS are they going to be pulling tonight? So I hope that we kind of get a little bit more of what we want this year overall, and I feel like the card is already looking better than it was last year, which I think is like pretty cool too. And people were pointing it out, the women's matches specifically, the women's title matches are getting a lot better build up than they did last year, so that's exciting too.
Lisa, we are only talking about WWE because it is the Raw Rewind, and I think this is a great segue into wrapping up the show, because we do talk about the other promotions on our show that's on Thursdays at 6 p.m. We talk about really the hodgepodge, everything that's going on in wrestling right now, from AEW, TNA a little bit, obviously, because even WWE is incorporating them. And we're definitely going to be talking about New Japan, because good old Will Ospreay and Okada, they waved goodbye to it, and we need to give thoughts there. So don't you worry, all right? That's why you're going to come back on Thursday at 6 p.m. to tune into that conversation. Because there is a lot of stuff going on in the wrestling world. Like, not just Mania. I mean, we have big news about my big news. I'm going to Boston, wink wink, for AEW Big Business. I am purchased my ticket, Sarah, wicked cheap, and I have like really good seats for like $100. Like
Well,
it's gonna be great. Going alone. So if anyone who tunes in or is a peep and you see me, come say hi. I'll hang. We're going at this alone. The channel will be out alone. So we're gonna go for it. So yeah, here we go. Thank you guys for tuning in to this edition of the Raw Rewind. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and bell notification to know when we go live. And then follow us by hitting the links in the description below. And we'll be back on Thursday for the All Wrestling Show, Pitts and Sarah's Wrestling Show as well. So until then, thanks guys for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. We will see you on Thursday.